All right, we are live, and the New York Mets just took another series, boy. Everything is good. Everything is right again. Just got to play the Marlins every series, and we'll be fine. But all kidding aside, Mets take 2 out of 3, but we have a sour, gross, disgusting taste in our mouth because you know what tastes terrible, boys? Burnt cookies taste terrible, and that's what Cookie Carrasco gave us. First things first. We have our boy Clemmer on. KFC's out today. He's jam-packed. He's doing an interview right now for KFC Radio. So we got Chris Clemmer on, Mets fan, one of the Frank the Tank handlers at this point, have to shoo away the crowds as his bouncer down in Miami, and a sick son of a bitch who was at yesterday's game on Easter. How are we doing, Clemmer, man?
Good. You can hear the disappointment. I hear people saying KFC's not on, it's Clemmer instead as they drive off the road. But I apologize to anyone who's disappointed. Yeah, yesterday was a rough day at the ballpark. It's funny, we took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, but in a way, I don't know why, I feel like we lost that series. Like emotionally, I feel like it's not fair. You can't expect a sweep when you go into any series. But man, that last game sucked.
Yeah, that was a tough game. We have Kyle on, obviously. Phil's going to be joining as well for people watching on YouTube. You guys will see it. It does kind of feel like it was at like worst or at best like a 2 out of 4 split, right? And it's just because you go in excited. I mean, God bless you for going to the game. And then on Easter Sunday, it's completely cooked. However, looking back, we should have known this because as great as the Mets are on the unofficial American holiday of opening day, they are that bad in terms of the actual holidays that appear on your calendar. Saw this from a tweet in 2021 from Mets Rewind. According to the Mets media guide, the team franchise record on Easter is 15-22. They also have losing records on Mother's Day, Memorial Day, Father's Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day. So if you are watching the Mets during a holiday, chances are you're having a pretty bad time. It's basically like watching an HBO series during a wedding. Bad things are going to happen to you. So that's kind of what we got here, and it was tough. Clemmer, by the way, random question. What's your middle name?
I have 2. I have 2 middle names. Yeah, Arthur and John are my 2 middle names.
Arthur John. I have a double middle name as well, Anthony Donald, after both.
Is it a communion name for you guys or what?
Both grandpas. It was both grandpas, my mom's dad and my dad's dad. What about you, Clemmer?
Yeah, placate the family. They wanted Arthur and John in there somewhere. They didn't want me to be named Christopher, so my parents were like, all right, well, do a half measure, which pissed off everyone and made nobody happy.
That's fair. And it's a very random question, I admit, but as I was doing, I was like, Chris Clemmer, CK. I was like, if we had KFC replaced by CFK, I thought that would have been a nice little
nice touch. Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So instead we have the AJ, which those 2 initials mean something completely different in my life. Absolute chaos. But again, everything's going to be all right. I feel like I have to say that as the optimistic I don't know if the word is positive, idiot, Met fan, whatever you got to say, it's going to be all right because why is it going to be all right? We're just going to chill, take it easy. It's the beginning of the season and we still have our Coors Light. That's right. Do you get together for impromptu happy hours, catch the game at local bar, etc.? Sometimes the days can get so crazy you forget to make time for fun. When that happens, you've got to choose to chill. Mets fans, we have to chill. I know this series feels like a loss or a split. It's going to be all right. I hope. And even if you don't think so, just grab yourself a Coors Light. When those mountains are nice and blue, you pop it open in the refrigerator, pop open the top, and enjoy an ice-cold Coors Light, a proud partner of the New York Mets. Coors Light is what, folks? Cold lagered, cold filtered, and packed. It's literally made to chill. It's as crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies, the perfect companion for all things to chill. So pair your plans with an ice-cold Coors Light, the beer that's keeping New York chill and New York Mets fans chill, which is no small task. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Julesy or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Okay, so I think we'll just stay with yesterday's game because we opened with that. Cookie Carrasco. Are we hashtag done with Cookie? Are we going to give him a chance? He's 0-2. Last season with Cookie, I said he was the barometer if we're facing a good offense. Good offense, Cookie bad. Bad offense, Cookie good. 0-2 against the Marlins, not a good start to the season, and his next start is against the A's. Phil just joined. Phil, how are you feeling about Cookie right now? Are you done with him? Do you want to see if he can figure it out as a veteran? He's old as shit. He's had a ton of health issues in the past, so I'm kind of concerned about that, along with like all the other shit we have to deal with Quintana being dead, Max not looking great so far. Our veteran Verlander, I forgot he's even on the fucking team. All our old veterans are not looking good, which was our biggest concern coming into the season.
Well, Cookie's next start is versus the Oakland A's. If he can't pitch versus them, he can't pitch versus anybody. Simple as that. So next start, his career is on the line in my eyes.
I think last season was a flash in the pan in general, and it got everybody like back on the boat of like his changeup looks good. He can actually be a manageable pitcher at the bottom of the rotation. But like when you have McGill and Peterson, who are both fighting for a rotation spot in spring training, and they are easily better than him, it's like, what the hell happened?
I mean, I think he just got old overnight. I mean, I was at the game yesterday, and they show the speed and what kind of pitch it is. 91 mile per hour fastball, and you're like, and it says 89 mile per hour changeup, and I'm thinking like, all right, well, that's not much of a changeup. That's pretty. So I think that was still his fastball, and he had a hard time hitting 90 yesterday at times, and that to me tells me he's done more than his stats do. Like I think he's cooked. I don't think there's any way around it. I think he's and when Verlander comes back at the end of the month, they have to put him in the bullpen or maybe just DFA him. I really think he's done.
I would like to see the phantom injury if they can't find anything. I believe it was on not opening day, his first start, where like the first inning, his numbers were his miles per hour were decent, and then it went down the next inning, and then down in the third inning even more, and then even yesterday. The outs were loud outs. They were like the outfield running, and then finally, like the floodgates are going to open even against an offense as inept as the Marlins from time to time.
He can't even figure out the pitch clock. He is completely lost out there. He just seems like he's like treading water barely, and the rest of the Mets fans are just pushing his head down because they're like, just go to sleep, just be gone, and we'll find somebody else.
I feel like we're gonna have it's like the Robinson Cano All-Stars. It's just when Uncle Stevie just erases all the mistakes we made. It's like Cano, Darren Ruff, Cookie's going to be there. It's kind of like Clemmer's ex teammate there on the Kirk Minahan team, where it's just the briefcase with all the ex teammates crossed out. That's the Robinson Cano All-Stars. Uncle Stevie just pays for our mistakes. Don't worry about it, Billy. I got this one. Try to find another guy. But as is always the case with baseball, you always need at least 7 starters going into the season. The problem is it's like 8, 9, and 10. We don't really have the minor leagues for that right now. I mean, I think Peterson's there. I don't even like McGill starting. I want McGill to go to the bullpen, and I think that's going to bring everything potentially together if he can handle it. But it's just I do not feel confident about this team, considering we've already Quintana's gone. Forget about it. If you tell me Verlander comes back healthy and it's fine, I'm still not feeling great about it because Max isn't looking good. And then Cookie at this point, I think you just have to throw him on the IL and hope he just figures it out. But is there any positives about this, Phil? Give me some sort of positive. Fucking Fangraph stat that tells me everything might not be completely shit.
When people were talking about Cookie's velo dropping in the first start, they're like, "Oh, is he hurt?" And I thought, I was like, "There's no trainer looking at him. He's not hurt. He's just old." And I think that's what we have to accept with him. Like, he's not injured. He's just old. This is what he is.
Yep. Clemmer, you know how this is when you just are like walking up the stairs and you feel those pains and you're like, or you're just feeling tired. Like, am I sick? Do I have it's like, no, I'm just old. We're old people.
Old. Yeah. Sometimes I'll wake up and I have a weird pain. I'm like, what? Oh no, that's right. I must have just like, I don't even know what happened. I'll have like a pain in my back or what? Like what? I did nothing. That's a sign you're old is when you do nothing and you still get hurt.
Yes.
And that happens to me, I don't know, once a week probably. And I'm sure it happens to Cookie now. Cookie isn't that much younger than I am.
One sneeze away from throwing his back out.
I am really concerned about the depth pitching-wise on this team. And like if you look at the Syracuse Mets, their lineup is very strong. But that rotation in that bullpen especially, there's like no one there that's like a major league quality reliever. Like there's no one there that's a major league quality starter. Maybe Hernandez, the guy they got from the Marlins, could in theory fill in.
This is the other thing. Epler signed maybe like 7 or so depth guys, and they're all on the injured list right now. That's the other thing. So our depth is already gone. So we're on a depth of the depth, and it's like April 10th.
Yeah. And the fact it's coming, I can't believe it's only April 10th and we're on the point now where we're looking at all these, we're out of depth targets. And Derb said it perfectly right here. Trevor Williams was able to fill in. I miss Trevor Williams so much. Who was our Trevor Williams replacement? Didn't we sign
Eliezer Hernandez is on the injured list.
God Damn it.
And Jeff Brigham, who is also on the injured list, as
I tell
someone
you
said
what,
in the
guys, it
chat.
would have been real nice to have a swing bullpen starter guy that can stretch out the games like we saw in San Diego yesterday. Thank God Seth Lugo is not pitching against the Mets, because I think every fan would have been tearing out their hair watching him just dominate. And I saw, Phil, I saw you tweeted that like it didn't work here.
It didn't work. We tried him as starter. It didn't work.
It did work, and then people came back, and then they pushed him back into the bullpen.
And he was a very good reliever for 7 years.
Well, yeah,
like, I don't have any
argue with
regrets of
that.
what he was here. Yeah.
Lugo shoving against us might have broken me early in the season. It might have that would have hurt a lot, especially if he had gone up against Cookie or something, which isn't going to be the case based on the way the rotations play out for this series against San Diego. Yeah, Lugo is that guy. He's like the supercharged version of Trevor Williams for us, right? Yep. He would have been the better reliever or starter. I mean, so far, the thing about the guys, the first month of the season, let me see these guys doing it June, July, August, September, because that's when the guys get hurt who aren't stretched out or haven't really done it as long as a lot of the other guys. But it's scary. Clemmer, you said it perfect. And I saw Phil, you tweeted, I think Michael Mayer had those stats, like the numbers that these guys are putting up in AAA right now. I mean, it's the first, couple of weeks of the season, and I don't know what to make of the Syracuse ballpark, or like you said, the balls that they're using in AAA. But we're fucking right down there. I guess you can move someone for something, but it seems way too early for that kind of talk, right?
I'm very woke to juiced balls being back, by the way. Just by looking at all the numbers. And the New York Post brought up like climate change is like why home runs are up. No, I think they just juice the balls.
The Post is talking climate change now.
Yeah,
that's like a Times article. I'm shocked it was the Post that's bringing that shit up. Holy cow!
So, like with Mets Twitter or Mets fan base, I feel it's become like politicized. I feel like you're either on the side of everything's great, everything's good, the Mets are gonna be just fine, and then you have like the Frank side, which is everything's horrible and nothing's good. And I'm kind of like down the middle. I see this team as a team that has some major holes. I don't think they're as good as last year. I'm really concerned about some elements of this team that I didn't have that same concern last year. The back end of the lineup, Cookie Carrasco, bullpen depth. I'm starting to see some things with this team that definitely have me concerned.
Well, everyone was saying I was licking Billy Epler's toes because I was telling people to leave Buck alone about not starting Alvarez. Game 1 in April, when he would have been lucky to be up in September, had Omar Narvaez not been hurt. And I'm like, how can you possibly blame this on Buck? And then they're like, well, he didn't want to bring up Jeter. Well, he didn't want to bring up Machado. Really? Those guys were Major League ready. And yes, maybe that was his decision. Billy Epler going and getting Omar Narvaez was a clear decision of that kid's not ready to be up here right now. And now he's up at a necessity. He better be playing DH if Vogelbach and Pham continue to hit the way they're hitting. But people are pissed that he's not starting game 1 in April. Like, the trigger hair PTSD of this fan base is ridiculous.
So one of the byproducts of me being on vacation, it was the first vacation I was like, no writing, no podcast. Like, I think I staved off divorce for at least another year right now, boys. I'm not going to tell you. I'm pretty proud of myself on this one. I didn't ruin any of my kids' childhood by just not being there. We actually did a good job. I have been completely out on Mets Twitter. I don't even go to the community anymore because it's morphed into something. It's morphed into a crazy land right now. And to each their own. If that's what you do, that's how you spend your time. I just can't do it anymore. I saw on Twitter a little bit of the Alvarez stuff. You're going to have Alvarez start his first game catching Senga, who's,
right,
fresh over from Japan, still getting used to Major League Baseball. It's like, no, we'll have him pitch on Sunday. Carrasco's on the mound. Oh, I thought that was just a much better fit. Obviously, it didn't look great. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's my spin zone. It was an Alvarez issue. Alvarez was the reason that the fucking Marlins teed off on Carrasco because he's not a very good catcher yet. It's funny how your Mets brain can always get the spin zones going on. But it's like, if we're going to just enjoy Alvarez, the fact that he's up, I expect a 60-40 split with Nito. I think they're just not going to try to run Nito into the ground because I don't even know who's our next catcher option.
Michael Perez, who's not even on the 40 yet.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Get Kevin Parada. Tell that motherfucker.
Oh, you do not want to know what happened with him in his game the other night.
What happened,
let up 9 stolen bases. So
9 stolen bases?
Apparently, yeah. It sounds like a Frank stat, but I saw a tweet about it. I don't think he's going to stick a catcher, so.
Well, he was supposed to be defensively better than Alvarez.
Yeah.
Well, Alvarez didn't look great yesterday. He tried to throw a guy out stealing and maybe threw the ball directly.
They were taking advantage of him.
That's what it's going to be now with the new pickoff rule.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what it is.
It's definitely important. We saw that. So, and then the other capper yesterday's game that kind of got lost in the mix because Cookie was just taking all the arrows of everybody. Starling Marte got hurt. Is there any update? I didn't see any update on that one. Did you guys see anything?
It said neck strain. I think he just got whiplash.
I just get worried about him. It feels like that's a dude who's pure muscle, but the wrong muscle gets tweaked the wrong way, and that could land, a little bit of a time on the shelf, which, as we learned last year, when Marte goes down, shit gets bad.
Yeah.
Especially with this lineup. This team needs, they need someone who can hit lefties. And then B, they need a real DH. This whole Vogelback, rough, formerly rough. Then Pham, I like as the fourth outfielder. This team needs an actual DH that can mash lefties. Now, that's something you could probably pick up at the trading deadline, but that's something this team desperately needs. That lineup stinks.
They've been searching for that for so long, though. Sorry to cut you off, but the last true lefty killer they had was Wilmer Flores in 2016. They haven't had one of those since.
Yeah, and it. All right. Be honest. How much does it hurt when every single time I see a clip about the San Francisco Giants, Wilmer Flores, Michael Conforto, or JD Davis is doing something fucking awesome, and I'm just like, man, if just one of those guys were here right now, I think. Wait, they didn't even let Wilmer get to free agency, right? They re-signed him before he.
They non-tendered him because they had JD Davis at the time,
and he went to the Diamondbacks. Then he went.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying over the winter. I feel like didn't they re-sign?
Oh yeah, the Giants extended Wilmer. Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't even an option because every Mets fan, we just love bringing back the guys. Bartolo Colon. I'm shocked we haven't seen his name bubble back up during Cookie getting his ass kicked last night.
I'm sure there'll be some sort of a highlight video of him striking out 15-year-olds like every other year.
So what happened with Dylan Bundy? We signed Dylan Bundy to a minor league.
He's in AAA, isn't he?
What's that?
He's in AAA, isn't he? Just getting built up.
That's someone I think could step in, and I think he'd be a better option than Carrasco. I'm not saying Dylan Bundy's saving the world. We're talking about that long guy in the bullpen, because I think McGill. I'd rather see McGill in the rotation than Carrasco or Dylan Bundy. But you put Bundy in the bullpen, that can get you those innings you need to eat up.
They do miss a long man in the bullpen just for the blowouts like we had Monday, Tuesday, yesterday. I mean, Nogasek pitched 3 innings yesterday in long relief. They are missing that kind of guy. But
and he was good, honestly.
Yeah.
Nogasek looked good. That Marlins offense stinks. We should be holding that team to 4 runs or less.
We did that every game but yesterday.
And they did a good job of that. But the problem is our offense isn't very good either. So, at least right now, I think there's guys that Lindor is going to do better, obviously. But right now, I think they are dead last in batting average in the National League. That's not great.
Are they dead last in the – oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, they're hitting .216, which is last in the National League. So, they're facing good Marlins pitching, and the Brewers pitching, I think, is better than advertised. I think it's actually pretty decent. But having said that, you still have to do better than .216. What are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, and it's not getting easier. Obviously, we have the Padres coming up, who, by the way, shout out to the Padres for taking care of business against the Bravos this week. I'm looking at here. This is just my way of spin zoning stuff. I said this in my message to you guys. The Brewers, 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, obviously swept us. Maybe the Brewers are just fucking awesome again. And we, got swept in Milwaukee, which has been a house of horrors in the past. Maybe
I that last show. They looked kind of reminiscent of our team where it's every guy's going to make solid contact and put together a good at-bat. I think against us, they hit more home runs than they probably will for the season. But the lineup looks scary and it looked pretty complete. And it's a stark opposite of you're watching that team hit and then our guys come up and you're Escobar can't find a prayer up there. I thought he was going to turn it around after he hit the home run because he's so streaky. But it's I don't even when they are getting hits, it seems like the bats are getting blown out of their hands. It's either solid contact Pete hitting a home run or a little dinker that's dropping in. It's there's no in between.
It's a very weird offense. It feels like last year, and you're going to have the lucky stuff when it does drop in, and when it doesn't, it's just going to be like watching paint dry. Yeah. This is just the way it is. They didn't change the lineup. The lineup was also, what was it, 3rd or 4th in runs last year in the National League. So you have that side of it where it's not all bad. But it's we have a guy like Escobar who is in the bad side of things, which Conforto did the same thing when he was here, right? When Conforto was hot, there was no one better. When Conforto was cold, it was absolutely her. And Conforto,
also was like a great April player for most of the time he was here, even dating back to 2016, where he had that sick April and ran into Madison Bumgarner, who broke him. So
yeah.
I mean, Escobar does kind of stink. I mean, we know Conforto was always a very good hitter for us. If you look at the full picture, Escobar, I mean, he's a guy. I know he had a good September last year, but overall, he didn't have a very good year last year. And this year, his bat looks slow. I think he's cooked too.
I was going to say it's the same situation as Cano last year, where yes, he's this veteran everyone loves, and he's great in the clubhouse. But at the same time, you have a kid ready to play. It's only a matter of time, and he knows the door's knocking. So,
and that's the good thing is I do feel like at least if the Escobar situation doesn't pan out, which it's on its way there, at least there's another. It's like, all right, we have Beatty now, we can bring him up. Which that's why the Correa deal was so fucking nice, because it was like, all right, we got Correa at third. He's a righty. He should be able to mash lefties. And then if they moved Escobar, I remember when they were the rumors about moving Guillorme, which I think during that double play yesterday reminded us, do not move that fucking guy. But it was like, all right, then like I think Escobar and Vogelback, that could have maybe addressed the DH if Escobar was able to match from the right side like he showed us, like in September last year, especially. But I don't know, man. I get in my own head too with like maybe the DH, like you said, Clemmer, the DH, if there was a designated hitter, one guy who could just be the guy, but maybe it is something you could kind of just fill the pieces with like a platoon, because those guys should stay healthier too, because they're not in the field and stuff like that. But at this point, it's like, I don't know what the fuck, who's our right-handed DH at this point?
Tommy Pham.
It should be Alvarez, game. Like if it comes to it, if he's a guy who's going to hit for power, like, yeah, he drove in an RBI yesterday. It wasn't a clean hit, but it's like, that's fine. As long as he's going to put together a competitive at-bat, and then people can stop complaining about Nito catching. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best defensive catchers in the league, and people are complaining about it. And it's like, if we're going to have a defensive catcher, you need to have some sort of pop in the lineup. And if he DHs, nobody should have any complaints.
And one of the reasons why Alvarez isn't DHing yet is because they only have two catchers on a roster, and Buck's going to be hesitant to do that. And that same thing was happening in Atlanta, where Sean Murphy only started like 4 of their 9 games because Brian Snicker didn't want to use him as DH when Darno was catching. Right. But he didn't have trouble doing it the other way around. Now
nobody looks at it that way. They just go, why isn't he playing? And it's like,
and they traded like a great player for that guy, and he turned into a part-time catcher. Right. So it's the same thing's going on with the team down south.
Yeah, no, and it is what it is, and the catching thing makes perfect sense. It's all fun and games until like Jeff McNeil's putting on catcher equipment.
Exactly, and you know that would happen to us too. It's like, first game Alvarez DHing, and it's like Nito just like snapped his ankle or something. And
you can pull him from the DH to catch, but then you lose the DH, right?
Exactly, and then we'll have a pitcher get hurt batting. It's like,
well, no, you just would pinch hit guys until you didn't, right?
Exactly,
and also, when people complain about a punting lineup, Simula Castro starting yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? He is a defensive replacement pinch runner when Vogelback gets a walk, and like that is pretty much all he should be.
Yeah, Nimmo's had 2 day offs now. He pinch hit one of the games, but he's had 2 days where he hasn't been in the starting lineup, and we've only played how many games we played? 10?
And that's also like a Buck staple where he wants to get all his guys involved so no one's that rusty. And he did it last year at work. He looked like a genius, and now he does it this year when it doesn't work.
He doesn't have the same talent.
Exactly.
Last year's team was a better team this year. I think a team that, let's say they don't make any moves, let's say we're at the deadline, but let's say they have another deadline like last year where they just don't do anything basically. This is a team that's probably going to win like 85 to 90 games. I think they still get in the playoffs, but this isn't the same team as last year. I know it's a lot of the same faces, but I feel like some guys have really regressed.
and that's why, and I know it ended poorly. It ended in the wild card round. Anyone who did enjoy 101 wins last year and how fucking special that was in terms of just the number. You don't get 100, in the words of Mike Francesa, you don't get 100 win seasons often. It's a very special year. You get 100. Like, I hope everyone enjoyed that, because it just does not happen often, let alone to the New York Metropolitans baseball club. It just is that simple. Who was Kevin's guy? The guy with the long hair, the fast guy. Like, remember he had a couple moments, and it's like you said, like, those things worked last year, and Buck looked like a genius. And if Castro's not going to do that, then again, it might seem like a very long season. But it has been a very weird start to the year. 2 Marlins series sandwiched around the Brewers series, and now we get the fucking Marlins. All right, back to the Marlins series, the good side of the Marlins series. All right, it wasn't all bad. Barstool the ballpark was Saturday. It was an absolute delight. All the guys here were on. Clemmer came in, full score, right? You kept the score of the whole game.
Of course, yeah. I was at all the games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I scored all of them.
God bless you, Clemmer. This guy scores all the games, takes Frank to opening day down in Miami, has to hear the screaming that was going on for 9 innings every single time. How was like that experience with Frank down in Miami during like a opening day? He's getting working himself into a frenzy every single day.
He was so on the way there. He's fine. We got to the ballpark. He was excited. It's opening day, but then we got the Verlander news, and he melted down. But then obviously they won that game. They lose the second game. He was way more upset when Edwin Diaz lost, and he was way more upset at the Brewers series than he was in Miami. He was relatively, I won't say positive, but for him, pretty positive. I will say though, you guys will never believe what Frank listens to on the car radio, like what his favorite station is.
Opera.
Close.
Country?
Yacht rock.
Yeah.
He loves yacht rock.
Holy shit.
And his car is immaculate. It looks like it was just detailed. Like it might be the cleanest car I've ever been in. It's a black SUV. It's nice. Clean, like spotless. Like not even you couldn't even find a crumb. It was completely immaculate car.
Wow, because I remember the old Tank Cooks, and like the floor would have some crust on it. You're like, what's going on here? Frank keeps that car clean though. Good for him, man. I love to hear it.
And you hear some Doobie Brothers. You're getting a little little river band, and Frank's in his glory.
Damn, yacht rock. Because who was Jeff D. Lowe? Hearing him and like KB are like diehard EDM fans. That completely boggled my mind. And now Frank's here listening to yacht rock. So Barstool the ballpark was Saturday. Definite success. We watched our boy Senga absolutely deal. So for people that are listening or watching, this year they moved us to the Big Apple reserve seats, which are right next to the Apple. The 7-line sits there a bunch. For anyone coming in the future, that's where the seats will be. And then if you want to get your beers or whatever, you go to the little bullpen, like right behind, like when you come in through the bullpen entrances or whatever, there's a rep there. You show your ticket stub, they scan it, you get your bracelet, you can scan your ticket stub at the concession stands, you get your $18 there. We had Citi Field replica day, which was a fucking sweet ass replica. It was like a bronze. I feel like the Uncle Stevie giveaways have definitely gone up with the team, right?
This was one of the nicest giveaways I've ever gotten any ballpark, honestly, and that's no bullshit. Like it's a really nice thing. It's really detailed. It even has a little apple in there. It was like a really nice giveaway.
Yeah, it was solid. And then our next one is, I believe, the 29th against the Braves, which is going to be, that's obviously Brave series. That's a 4-game series, man. I am not ready for that series because I was thinking about it. Our secret weapon against the Braves that like always had me feeling all right was knowing we had Diaz in our back pocket. And he's gone now. So we're going in the tightrope without the safety net at the bottom. But I believe that's Howie Rose. Is that Howie Rose bobblehead giveaway day?
I don't know. I think the first giveaway is going to be those weird stuffed animals.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
The Mr. Met voodoo doll. I was like, what are we doing here? They got X's on the eyes. I'm like, we don't need that.
Yeah, there's a Mr. Met voodoo doll that is April 29th. That's against the Braves. And then May 31st against the Phillies. That's Howie Rose sound bobblehead, which I'm thinking of like the Phil Rizzuto, holy cow, Seinfeld bobblehead. And he has a stack of books because I obviously put it in the books. So get your Barstool the ballpark tickets. Now we had a great crew out. Everyone was boozing hard. The first thing I saw when I walked in the ballpark was a guy dressed as a full chicken with a Mets uniform on. I'm like, oh, good to be around my people, my crazies. Koda Senga is like the thing when I get depressed about the pitching and start like trying to figure out who our next trade candidate is because we don't have anyone in the minors. Senga just comes out. And again, it's against the Marlins twice. But fucking shit, man. This guy has delivered so far. I'm very happy with him. And will he go against the A's too next, Phil?
Yep, they set him up perfectly, so he has a good landing spot to start his career. So whoever did that, very smart.
Yeah, shout out Buck for getting that done. We went to the game. Pete's hit a couple fuck bombs, which has been awesome. The offense still hasn't been perfect yet, but like
it's a little bit like September where it's feast or famine, where they'll have 5 runs, 7 runs this game, then you'll look up at the next game, it's like 2 runs, 0 runs. So
yeah,
it does have that September-ish feel last year. I'm not gonna lie.
And they play the Senga which
Exactly.
tickles the fancy bone of all the nostalgia. Here, Clemmer, you were a Sega guy back in the day. We're almost the same age. I'm not the oldest guy in the podcast for once, which is kind of nice.
Sega was great. And nothing better like NHL '94.
Yep.
And doing that sheep sweep around the net and scoop. No, Sega Genesis is great. Senga, the pitcher, is fantastic. I am all in on this. I mean, he's striking guys out. He's overwhelming batters. He's making it so these guys, this Marlins lineup, that shitty Marlins lineup, doesn't have a chance against him. And that's what I wanted out of these two series. I wanted more domination. I know we did beat them 5-2. So in game, so we definitely beat them. But when Senga was pitching, it felt like we're just owning these guys, and he delivered. I think this guy is really good. I'm really excited about Senga.
The ghost fork, baby. Can't touch that ghost fork. Again, just having a wacky pitch with a fun little marketing around it. Kev's trying to make up shirts for it. It's fucking all coming together.
It looked too like there's been no growing pains. Like he's cool, calm, and collected. That first inning, his nerves got to him. But ever since that inning, like he is in his element, and you weren't sure, the ball's different, the mound's different, like what's really going to happen. I actually mushed him at the game. I sat there watching him dominate the entire game, and I turn and I go, I hate to say it, but like he is our best pitcher, and it's not even close. And literally the words no sooner left my mouth, he gives up the home run to Chaz Chisholm, and I was like, well, see you guys later. Turned around and walked right out. But I mean, it's electric, and it's I would never compare him to DeGrom because that's just like not going to be a thing. Right. But the ball has late life out of his hands, and that's where I think he's getting like the domination aspect because it is getting on top of the batters in an overwhelming way.
Yep.
And I remember when Hideo Nomo got to the majors in '95.
Yeah,
he had that amazing rookie year, but he was dominant as well, especially that first year. He had some good years after that. But that first year, no one could touch him. They just hadn't seen the ball move like that. And it feels, I know it's the Marlins, but it feels like that a little with Senga. Like, guys don't have a chance against him. If he's on, guys aren't hitting him. I'm also okay with Scherzer. I think he's going to come around. His stuff is still there. He's just giving up some hits.
He just hits a wall in the sixth inning every time. That's the thing.
He's still like, it's not like Carrasco where this guy like is just washed. So like Senga and Scherzer, there is some optimism here in that pitching staff beyond the hellscape that is Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah. Who was the pit? Like, oh no, it was, I think by the end of the Sven Matz, as we called him, like every time Matz pitched, it was like, this day fucking sucks. I hate this game. I hate this pitcher. I feel like Carrasco has become our new Matz now, which much different parts of their careers. By the way, what the fuck is Matz doing? I haven't even thought about him this
the Cardinals?
He faced the Braves in his first start. I think he did like bad, but
you don't say.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Let's see here. Steven Matz, 5 1/3, 4 earned against the Braves, and a 4-1 loss.
And a 2 whip, so
yeah.
So he's still bad.
He's still
he was rough last year too, so
yeah, he was not great. But another pitcher that actually has been good in limited time and made another fucking big time start, which again, this feels like it was like 2 months ago, and it was only on Friday. It was 3 days ago.
Yeah. Home
opener, big drip comes out, fucking deals, gets the win, and that was a 9-3 win. That one felt good, and everyone felt good. We didn't have like that wasn't on a Thursday. You have all day Friday to bask in the opening day at home win, and then you go into Saturday. I think we needed that day off on Thursday. I was in Florida. It sounds like the weather was fine, right? We could have definitely gotten that game in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was beautiful.
That I believe is total corruption if you want to look at it. Like there was no. What happened was McGill was supposed to leave early and get some rest and basically leave a day early, but his chartered flight never took off, so he ended up having to go with the team. And I think between a mix of McGill not getting the rest and then the Marlins, Jazz Chisholm got hurt on Wednesday. I think they wanted to give him an extra day, so I think the teams were like, you know what, let's just bang Thursday and call it on Friday. Because Thursday was the nicest day of the week. It was like 80 degrees in New York. It was beautiful.
We had a more traditional New York opening day on Friday, and honestly, that's better off.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure the people that had to work on Friday but were off on Thursday are not happy about that. But when the baseball teams want to say what happens, that's how it's going to go. And again, I'm trying to get back to that opening day fucking beat the shit out of the bullpen late. Who was it? Cabrera had a no-hitter through 2 2/3. And
Wild.
7 walks.
7 walks along
4
the way.
strikeouts, 7 walks, no hits, and they pulled him. No, that was McGill. I think McGill's good. I think if McGill can stay healthy, he's good. He was really good on Friday.
And Clem, I don't want to make it seem like I don't like McGill when I said I want him in the bullpen. I just don't think he can stay healthy being a starter, and it's like, if he can, I think he should definitely be a starter. I think that's where the value lies for sure, especially when we get Diaz back in the future. But it's like, there are so many times where you see those pitchers that just can't stay healthy. They go to the bullpen, and that's how you get an Eric Gagne. I mean, that was a lot of steroids that involved that.
Yeah, we can do that too. We can do that too. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think the pitch clock might benefit him because going into the season, they told him not to throw hard. They were like, stop maxing out your arm. It's going to fall off. And now he doesn't have all that time to gather. So, as much as it's like killing all the veteran pitchers, the young guys who kind of tend to overdo it, they might just be like, yeah, just go out and throw the ball and play your game. So from first outing to second outing, he looked much better, because the first outing, it looked like he's still trying to figure it out. But again, it's the Marlins. Yeah. That's the toughest part of this whole thing. We're not going to see the Marlins again until September. We've played 10 games and we still don't know what this team is because they're playing the Marlins. We know the Marlins aren't good, so
yeah, we'll take 5-2 versus the Marlins. That's fine. Yeah. We'd feel better about it if they even took 1 game versus Milwaukee.
Right.
And they were in that last game when they got walked off on. And I do think if Diaz, that's like, I consider that the first Diaz game, because I think Diaz could just come in, wipe him out when we had to wipe him out, and then you hope to get that run scored. But I mean, whatever, it is what it is. And kind of transitioning from that, I'm not even going to freak out if the Mets get swept by the Padres, because I'm telling you, they are the rock to our scissor. I'm convinced of it until it doesn't happen. They were a pain in the ass all year last year. That was the thing. Everyone was saying, well, Frank said they were going to lose to the Padres. That's all we were saying right around the All-Star break. I was like, I want to face any team but the fucking Padres in the playoffs. I don't care how good the Dodgers are. I don't care, like, the Braves have been our boogaboo for years and years. The Padres just are that team that just seems to match up against us, even though they have a great roster. But, like, pound for pound, it didn't seem like they were on par with the other two. And I'm just, if they get their shit pushed in by the Padres, and then even to the A series, if they beat the shit out of the A's, after then is when I'll start being like, all right, now I can see what this New York Mets team is, because my brain is like, either this team is a kryptonite or this team is a fucking patsy. So is that a fair take to have?
That is a fair take. I just want to say the Padres have the best lineup in baseball right now, and they're getting Tatis back next week. Oh. Coincidentally, after they finish their stretch versus the Braves, because, that's how these things work. But the Padres are going to be a wagon all year with the lineup. I just don't know if their pitching is going to hold up.
Well, we got Darvish for tonight, so of course that's the way it's going to line up for us. And God damn it, Phil! Why can't we miss this guy one time in the series?
We did get a break. We don't have to face Musgrove.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I wanted to face Greasy Musgrove and his fucking. Why there was something on his face. I don't care what anyone says.
It was something. But yeah, we do luck out somewhat missing him. But when you luck out, you got to end up hitting the guys.
Yeah.
Clem was saying how, like, all right, I'm going to know how this team lies after the A series. But then we played the Dodgers. So, like, we're still not going to have a good read on this team. Maybe and then after that, they play the Giants. So maybe then we'll have a better pulse on this team. But I feel like we're either playing like really shitty teams or really good teams. Maybe that's just Major League Baseball in 2023. But the Brewers were kind of that team I thought would give us a pulse. And that's the pulse. We're in trouble.
It's a tough go, too, because now it's a West Coast trip. So once we start heading over there, then it's like, well, West Coast Bowl doesn't really count. They're on a totally different time.
We'll be sitting here in July and be like, we haven't seen enough of this team yet.
You know what? I'm making my complete and utter take on the season based on that 4-game Giant series. That's what I'm going to do. If we take 3 of 4, we're fucking going to be in the playoffs. If we take 2 of 4, I'm concerned. And if we lose the series, the fucking season's over. Console decision is how I guess we have to go. Because it is a weird start to the season. Now, this Padres series, Scherzer, Darvish, again, lineup, good fucking Padres lineup, and we know what they did to Scherzer in the playoffs last year. Can I call it the playoffs? Because I'll call it the wild card round. When there's 3 games, it's not like the wild card game. I think there is a little bit of a difference. So before the fucking people get angry about that, what they did to Scherzer, that was when the oh fuck moment. That's when I knew I was probably not going to see Hall and Oates live. That's when I knew Frank was to get to his beloved playoff game live, and we all fucking took the L from there. Scherzer, Darvish. I think I just need to see Scherzer just show up tonight. That's basically the biggest thing out of this entire series for me. And then so we have Scherzer, Darvish Monday, Peterson, Weathers on Tuesday. I have no clue who Weathers is. And then Wednesday, 1:10 p.m. I love those day games. McGill versus Snell. So we get Snell once again. Phil, what are we looking at for this in this Padres series for you?
I hope to score runs off of Weathers and Snell. I mean, we did pretty good off Snell in 2 out of 3 starts last year, including the playoff one. So there's that. And when it comes to pitching, it's going to be a bigger test for McGill where, yes, you had the Marlins. Now you have the Padres who had the best lineup. Like, that's a huge jump going from the Marlins lineup to the Padres lineup. And if he shows up as that, then I can feel really confident about McGill filling in for the foreseeable future.
Clemmer, what do you think about this Padres series?
Yeah, the takeaway for me is obviously that Tuesday game is going to be the one we want to try to win, even though Peterson's pitching. But the thing for me is this team needs to start hitting. I'm not a big batting average guy, much more of an on-base percentage guy, but the batting average doesn't lie. We're not making contact right now. Even McNeil's batting 250. Like, guys, Lindor, Canna's batting under 230. Obviously, Escobar is, hate to say it, Frank was right, but easy out Escobar. He is right now.
Off the show. No Frank is right in here.
Hey, he's right about Escobar. And,
you're out of here, Clemmer.
No.
I'm just kidding.
But these guys got to start hitting. And that's my main thing is I know obviously Darvish and Snell are both awesome pitchers. Snell especially is hard to hit because he'll either beat you because he's too wild, not usually because you're beating the shit out of him offensively, but we need these bats to start clicking in soon. And we're going to Oakland next, and that is a team we're going to beat, I think, but that's not an easy ballpark to hit in. So I'm just concerned about the offense right now.
I'd like to see the offense start churning stuff, getting Vogel back doing some shit, and McNeil McNeil getting hot. It's always with the cold weather too. It's going to be a warm week here in New York. I mean, they're only going to be here for the first 3 games before they ship us out west. Kyle, what are you hoping for in this Padres series or want to see?
I think we need to see some semblance of top to bottom. If you're not going to hit the ball well, you better do something else well. Like, you better drive the ball in, hit a sac fly, move the batter over, like runner over, something, because they're facing 2 lefties. So right away, that takes Guillorme out of the equation. Alvarez is probably going to get some at-bats. He better get some at-bats. And if you're going to have like a good turning point, it's going to be against this team. If you're going to have some sort of confidence in the fan base and in the lineup themselves, like, it's going to be against the Padres. You need to have something to hang your hat on, because you can't just get your doors blown off by the Brewers and then turn around 2 series later and get your doors blown off by the Padres. They need to put together, I'll even just say 1 game out of the 3. I need to be like, okay, this is a professional lineup top to bottom where these guys can at least figure it out if they're going up against a good pitcher.
That's fair. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, they went to San Diego. I feel like that series was really built up, and we're like, if we get swept in the series, it's going to be a 5-alarm blaze for Mets fans. And they ended up showing up, and it was. I remember it was a competitive series, but they ended up winning a few games. And I feel like we're kind of in a, if there is a sweep here, like, don't even log on.
If there's a sweep with any team, the season's over regardless. And if they lose 1 game in a series, the season's over regardless. But I just want to give us Ryan Weathers stats since we face him Tuesday. He's like the greatest high school pitcher of all time. As a senior in 2018, he went 11-0 with a 0.09 ERA, 148 strikeouts in 76 innings.
Oh my God.
And in the major leagues, he's 4-7 with a 5.40 ERA. So just the difference. But he's an insane high school town. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page.
Yo, if I'm Epler, I'm thinking Galaxy Brain, and I'm going to acquire whatever guy drove the run off of him. Like, there's like probably 2 guys that scored that 0.09 to get the run.
It's selling shoes somewhere next to you.
Some accountants like you scored a run off of Ryan Weathers like 6 years ago. Well, how'd you do it? Give the team a speech.
I love it. By the way, I saw the it's 710, 710, 110. Am I crazy? I thought we were getting 640 starts this year. Wasn't that announced?
At some point we are, I think.
No, I just looked up the schedule. It's all road games that are 640. So I don't know if that got scrapped or
maybe it is for road games. I don't know.
I know the 410 Saturday games are only for the first half of the year. The second half of the year, they might go to 640 then or 710. I don't know, but I know they become night games.
Either way, with the pitch clock, it's not like it matters if it's 7:10 or whatever. It's like the game's over like 9:30, 10.
Yeah.
Either way.
I can't lie. Again, as an old, I was thinking like we can get a lot of these games over before 9 if these things are to 6:40. But how is like you with the pitch clock? I feel like has there been anything with him in the pitch clock?
You made one start so far, and
Yeah.
you went like 5 innings because he pitched in the World Baseball Classic, and he said he needed to be built up more. So he's only made one start.
We're not going to talk about the.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that's the info that he said. So
we made it 45 minutes before that even came up because Kevin's not on the show today. So shout out to us for making it that long. My guy Clemmer, since you filled in so great, it's just like I have to ask you. So every year we have my guy this started 5 years ago, where it's like you can't be like my guy's Francisco Lindor. Give me a guy in the Mets that isn't like a everyday starter, absolute stud. That's kind of your guy that you love. Like I love Seth Lugo back when before he was going to be the setup guy. And I don't know. I just kind of liked him. I liked his name. I thought the name Seth Lugo was basically a fucking mind fucking itself. It doesn't really make sense. And then when I found out his nickname was the Puerto Rican, I thought that was awesome. So is there a guy that maybe is a reliever, bench player, that you just kind of like that might just be kind of random?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, starting off the season, it's been John Curtis. He's looked really good at the pen. They put him in some high leverage situations, which when it first happened, I turned to Frank in Miami. I'm like, I don't like this. Why are they giving this guy such big spots? He's done a pretty good job. I don't know. I think Curtis could be decent. Novacek pitched really well yesterday too, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the Curtis ride a little bit.
Okay. So I'm with you on that. And I'm going to ask Kyle and Phil, hat in hand. My guy was Drew Smith to start the season. I still love Drew Smith. He's my Blue Mountain boy. I still think he could be good, even though he has been a little shaky to start the season. Can I change my guy to John Curtis as well? Because when we came to the game at Barstool the Ballpark, he came out to Voodoo Child. That's the Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan entrance song, as well as the old Piazza song. Guy came out, showed up. You have that song. You have my heart. Can I do it? I will not change my guy the rest of the year. John Curtis is just giving up bombs. I got to live with it. I got Clemmer in the foxhole with me. Clem and Clemmer. It's like Dumb and Dumber, but fucking Clem version of it. You can't go better than that. Will you guys allow it? Yes or no? I'll
allow it, but I'm also I hate my guy, David Peterson, after his 2 starts. I kind of want John Curtis now.
Maybe just John Curtis becomes the official player of the
guy of the podcast.
We get him on the podcast. We interview him. Like, I think Colin Holderman basically became that guy before he got traded. Like, we all loved the shit out of him. He got traded. Everyone freaked out. And then we fell in love with Vogelback because he was a big boy that said he liked donuts. All right. So if I can have him, I really appreciate that. Thanks for coming on today, Clemmer. If you'd love to come on in the future, we'd love to have you. I think it brings a different perspective from the pod that we could definitely use. You're an absolute diehard Mets fan, baseball fan. The stuff you write, I love all your different random lists and stuff you write on the site as well. So thanks for coming on today. Give me your confidence right now, 1 to 10 going forward. Like, it's still early in the season, so account for that as well.
6.5.
6.5. That's fair. Phil?
7.
Kyle?
7. I'm gonna go 6. They're 5-5. They're 500. I'll go a little bit above 500. I'll give them a 6.
Okay. I'm going 7 as well with Phil. And again, that's a lot of the shine. I can still feel the sunshine on my shoulders from last year.
You didn't watch the Brewers series. That's why you're a 7.
That's what it
exactly
is. You're watching this season with your Disney glasses on.
According to you. So.
That is a very fair point. But again, 1 game behind first. Like, remember we kept doing the 3 games up, even though like that 2021 season, it made no sense. We still were 3 or 4, whatever the fuck the thing was. Braves are 6-4. We're 5-5. Everyone kind of, it's so early and everyone kind of sucks other than the Rays. Did the Rays lose yet? Nope.
No, they're not.
Oh, they've beaten every team by 4 runs or more every game.
It's crazy.
They are dominating, and they have a very easy schedule. They've played really soft teams, but that is wild what they're doing.
Best start since I think the 03 Royals were 9-0 as well. So I don't know
correct.
who's next on the list. Clemmer, you have to know this one.
I
Who's like 10-0, 11?
They passed the 90 Reds were 8-0, and
It's
they
like-
went wire to wire to win the championship.
Wow.
Like 1884 Barons or something. They're
The
competing.
1984 Tigers went 35-5, and they wound up winning the World Series. So, like, are we looking at that kind of like domination where this team's going to run away with the entire year, or is it 03 Royals where they're going to win 82 games and that's that?
So,
Yeah.
I think they're good.
I just wanted to throw this in here. Obviously, the stats aren't going to stay the same all year. Imagine if the Mets signed a third baseman, to $325 million, and he started out his first 10 games. 182 average, 250 on base, 242 slugging, 37 OPS plus, and just being a bad player. How would the fans react to that?
So you're telling me that WFAN would be taking calls about, is his ankle bothering him already? Do you think that's what would be coming in if Correa
I'm
had
just
signed
pointing
yet?
that out. So all the people saying Correa. Yes, he'll probably be fine, but if you watched him play these first 10 games after signing that huge contract,
He's playing like a Met. He's playing like he'd fit in with this lineup right
exactly. You would not be very happy people right now with that.
Oh, shit. So there's your little silver lining of the day, the $325 million that did not get spent, that'll hopefully get spent. Will definitely get spent probably next offseason with Shohei, hopefully. So there you go. And at the end of the day, no matter what the fuck happens in this goddamn Padres series, promise me, guys, gotta believe.
Gotta believe.
I believe. Thanks, boys.
Thank
Later.
you.
Post-game show, Colin, tomorrow. If you want to complain, get all your complaints out.